Earlier this week, we talked about another Colorado funeral home in trouble for how they handled bodies. It is not the first time we've heard about this in Colorado. As a matter of fact, there's been several high-profile cases in recent years, and because of that, the funeral industry has had to go through a major overhaul to regulate it. Here to talk more about this is 9 News legal expert Whitney Traylor. Thanks for coming in.
Sure. Good morning.
Why have we seen so many issues in recent years? Is it because the industry was relatively unregulated?
Yeah, that's a major part of it, because the industry used to be regulated, and then in 1983 Colorado deregulated, and then we were the only state in the country that wasn't regulating this industry. And so I know a lot of people get frustrated with government involvement. I have a small business and it can be problematic, but these are the type of situations. There were so many egregious situations happening that it was necessary that there was regulation, because there was just no oversight, there was no accountability, there wasn't requirements for any special type of certification or training. So we were having, it was kind of the wild, wild west.
And you have a whole slew of examples of problems that we've had in recent years in Colorado when it comes to funeral homes.
Just the past few years, and honestly, since 2008, people have been pushing on the DA to start prosecuting this, and the DA is saying, we don't have any laws to prosecute. There's nothing we can push on. But you're right. In the past few years, we've seen a body left in a hearse in front of a house. 189 bodies, as we know, were discovered in Penrose. That was a horrible situation. The Montrose mother and daughter were selling body parts. And so there's just been a lot of public pressure to prevent this from happening.
So what has the state done in recent years to regulate the industry?
So they just passed a number of laws. The major one is going to go into effect January of next year to give some of these funeral homes an opportunity to comply. But they now require licensing for funeral directors. They do a criminal background check. You have to complete an accredited mortuary science training. There's now 2 full-time inspectors and regular inspections. And now they can enforce and impose sanctions. And it's really, people don't really recognize the amount of science that goes into this.
Yes.
So the embalmers, for example, they're dealing with bodies with infectious diseases. They're handling dangerous chemicals. So it's fundamental that there is some oversight in this situation.
It is wild to think that, though, that wasn't part of the law. Like, those things weren't regulated.
Yeah, no, it's surprising. And again, it was in 1983 that the funeral directors kind of pushed. They essentially lobbied to get it deregulated. And what's so egregious about it is this is the lowest time in people's lives.
Yeah.
They're grieving. I mean, I can't even imagine. My brother passed away 7 months ago, as you know, and I'm still grieving. And the notion if his body was mishandled,
totally.
I mean, the pain, the confusion, that's something that you'll never get over. And of course, the people can also sue individually. They can initiate a civil action, but as we know, these folks are now in jail for 30 and 40 years. There's no money, so there's no recourse for them. So really, these laws are really the only thing that the families have. And
so many of those families have said it feels like they died again when they hear about, what has been done to their loved ones' bodies. Yes. You just talked about prison time. I mean, some of these sentences can be pretty hefty. Does that send a message?
Yes, I think it sends a message that now there is oversight, that the courts and the prosecutors are willing to go after people, that there is going to be some accountability. And we just saw in Colorado Springs, there was an inspection. Somebody gave a tip in January, and the inspectors went out and they found that the temperature of the refrigerators was too high. It's supposed to be 39 degrees or lower. They also discovered they had too many human remains for the space, and so they're now on probation. They have to put in a quarterly report. So this was long overdue. And so, yeah, now there's a message to the industry. And of course, they have to be certified. I mean, before, somebody could have just walked off the street and said, yeah, I'm doing a funeral home. And really, we saw the evidence of that.
Absolutely.
So this is definitely sending a message, and it's a positive message for sure.
100%. Whitney, thank you so much for coming in. Sure. Appreciate it.